where Dave Cody stands on the corporate tax rate. We're going to work on that, but if you need clarification, come and see me afterwards. I think we can provide that. I found it a really exciting day. I think we had a lot of consistent themes. Peter Losher, who is the chairman of Siemens globally, talked about innovation and putting that into projects. I think we took a look at the range of exports from masking tape to solar panels to airplanes of all sizes, sugar beet equipment, and I think we could see that America's competitive edge is clearly as strong as ever, and we are trying to move at the speed of business. I have a special guest this morning who's going to speak first, and then we will have our go on with the rest of the program. Congressman Miller is from California, the 42nd District. He is chairman of the House Financial Services Committee on International Monetary Policy and Trade. This is the committee that reviews and provides oversight of the Export-Import Bank. It provides oversight of all international trade and policy issues. Congressman Miller is a businessman, as he said to me earlier today. He is both a real estate developer and a bootlegger, or in the liquor business. Excellent qualifications, as he said, to be a member of Congress. He has come up with a couple of new products. He is an investor, and we're going to get it on the East Coast soon, of a new vodka that is made with electrolytes that keeps you hydrated and lets you possibly drink more of it. So this is an example of taking an innovative idea and bringing it to market. So we have a chairman who understands at his heart what business is about and how to bring innovation to, and I'm hoping, Congressman, Mr. Chairman, that we can also help export that once it gets to market, all right? We stand ready. Yesterday we talked about Pacman, which is the small, well, larger than Boeing, Airbus, Bombardier, and Embraer, just the planes are smaller. It is about 2 to 3 miles just outside of the district, but who knows, with the redistricting, they may be in your district before you know it, but I'm sure many of their employees live in your district, so they are a great company. He has been, as I mentioned, enormously knowledgeable. His staff has been spectacular to work with, and like Tom Donahue, he likes the fact that the bank makes money. So let me give you Chairman Miller giving new meaning to Miller time.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Chairman Hochberg. So a developer, a bootlegger, and a developer, and a congressman, what can you say? I'm a business person. That's what I do. So we look at the issues and we say, how do we compete globally at a level playing field? We all think trade is good. We all think it's great when we're exporting. But when businesses are put at a disadvantage because other countries are willing to finance at a different level than we do, putting their businesses at an advantage over what our businesses have, there's a problem. Now, what I don't want to have happen, you've heard about the debate over Freddie and Fannie, and we had hearings all day yesterday on that, because they look at the GSEs as something that's government-backed and government-subsidized, and some people think we put too many taxpayers at risk, although they're performing better than the rest of the environment out there in the lending industry. But we have to say EXIM is completely different. EXIM makes money for the federal government, does not put the federal government at risk, but we have to say, how do we make that a better tool, usable for you? A few ways I think we need to do. We need to look at a few issues. We need to raise the amount we're able to lend. We think we need to probably increase that by about $20 billion per year to get you up to about $160 billion. To be able to put the necessary resources into your industry to be able to compete globally. We also think there's an area we need to look at, and that's content. We do respect the principles that we need to provide American jobs, but with a global economy we have today, we have to say, how does that impact you on content? Are you able to compete globally? Are you able to go out with China, Brazil, Canada, other countries and say, can we compete with their industry based on mandates that are placed upon you that might appear to be unreasonable? Now, I like the title, Government at the Speed of Businesses. You're lucky we don't move that fast because we'd really screw things up really quick. But in certain areas on this bill, April 13th, we're going to have a bill and we're marking it up. We're going to have it for the chairman next week. Administration hasn't come along with their recommendations, but at this point in time, I don't think we can wait. I think it's something we need to push out of the House, get to the Senate, nudge them, get it done in time, and we need to fill the board. That's something we need to absolutely do. But businesses have not been shy, and I encourage you to not be shy. If there's something we need to look at, you need to come to us and talk to us about it. We found that many do. We found a lot of good information from some. Content's huge, imports are good, economic impact is something we have to address. The emerging economies, things are changing. Now, we can't go back 20 years ago and say what worked will work today. We can't go back 10 years ago and say what worked, it will work today. We have to say, what are we looking at in the future, and how do we prepare for that future, and how do we provide flexibility for Ex-Im Bank to deal with you, yet take the burden off of their back on making certain decisions. Now, we understand they have flexibility on impact as it applies to content, but the burden should not be on them. They should be encouraged by the individuals, that's Congress, who have the ability to give direction on where they should go. And in order to do that, we need input from you. Now, will the economy be the same next year as this year? No. Will it be the same 2 years as it was next year? No. So how do we create a system that allows flexibility, allows you to change your business model as necessary to deal with products within your business model and adapt that to a global nature and be globally competitive? And we have to do that. Even though we're looking at 2% of the total exports, if we're dealing with 8.9% unemployment, if you can impact that total unemployment by 2%, it's huge. So is $100 billion adequate for the future? I don't think so. Also, the technology that we have to deal with at Ex-Im Bank, they're kind of dinosaurs. I have a son who's an FBI agent, and I look at how the FBI and CIA used to operate. They could not even coordinate with each other, nor could they communicate with each other prior to 9/11. We've changed that. Now we have to say they have to have the current technology necessary to expeditiously perform at a level you need to perform at, and we don't have that today. Yet we don't want to go through the appropriations process knowing that we have a huge budget deficit. We have to say, how can we do that internally with existing revenues coming into Ex-Im before they're generated back to the Treasury, then sent back to Ex-Im? We have to try to find a way to take those funds, put about $20 to $26 million in technology to put them at a level of process that they should be to adequately represent you and process the loans that you need processed. But when you have the economies in some of these developing nations growing as they are today, what we don't want to have happen is have you as business people put at a disadvantage because other countries, China, even Canada close by, give their business an advantage over you in content and other things that you do not have. And that's what we need to address, is how can we be more competitive? How can we deal with emerging economies, especially as it applies to lending? Many banks in our country, when you go to them and say, I want a loan for a product in Brazil, they say, we have limit caps. We don't want that to obstruct you from being able to do your business. We want Ex-Im to fill that void and encourage you in those areas, if nothing else, to be able to get into marketplace, actively compete, and be at a level of every other country. We cannot allow what's happened into the past to take and affect you in the future. So although the House is going to move quicker in the Senate, we think they're going to be receptive to what we do once we get it to them. So our goal is to get it to them as quick as possible. Now, we are not going to wait for the administration to come through with a proposal. And I'm not criticizing the administration. I'm saying we need to move expeditiously. If the administration comes up with some good ideas, or if after the bill is presented, we will put out next week, there are some other alternatives or ideas we haven't taken into consideration, although we think we've done a fairly good job, we want to hear that. We can always do a manager's amendment at any point to the bill to modify the bill as it goes through process. But what we want to do is when we're through, we want you, the business sector, to be able to compete globally and have a financial arm that backs you up and encourages you in those areas and supports your needs and that gets you into the market you need to be involved in. So I'm going to say that, well, Leslie Gooch, stand up. She's my staff director, and when you come, you'll generally meet her. Sit down, that's good enough. And, you know, she writes these great speeches, and I never read one of them. I love it, because nothing worse than hearing a politician, well, on the 4th, we're going to do this. I mean, that gets kind of boring. And especially from a bootlegger that's probably drunk last night anyway, so what do you know? So you don't want to hear this speech. But we want to be responsive to you. And I don't want you to think that once a bill's put out, that that's the end of the game for 4 more years, because we're going to do this again in 4 years. But if something's not working for you, if you come back and say, you know, we have a problem and X would like to do this, but, you know, we've never gotten this before, come to us with the issue. You know, the chairman and I can meet any time. We can have hearings at any time. And it benefits him if we can encourage him, if you know what that means. I want to take the burden off of them and place it where it belongs. And if we don't know what we can do for you next year or the following year, because things will change, if you don't tell us what we can do, then we can't benefit you. So I know most business people are not shy if they're encouraged. So don't be shy. If there's something that we missed, something that's not working, or something that needs to be modified or adapted in the future, please let us know, and we'll be happy to have a hearing on it. I know our chairman is happy to be responsive in areas that we can to encourage exports and make your job better than it is today. So our goal is to be globally competitive, create jobs in this country, and God willing, you might even make a profit in the process and then have to pay some taxes to the federal government, and we might make a buck too. So do we open this for questions, or we just, I'm going to say amen and leave. What do you want to do? Okay. If you have any questions, I won't speak to you. I'll just try to answer your questions. And if I can't, Leslie can. God bless you. I'm out of here. Thank you.
That was great. Thank you so much. Thank you, Chairman Miller. That was, thank you for making time in your schedule to come and join us today and hear directly about what you're thinking and the committee is thinking in terms of the reauthorization of the bank, something I know everybody here is keenly interested in. As the chairman mentioned, government at the speed of business is about accountability, it's about measurement, and it's about being responsive to our customers. So one of the things I want to do in speaking of customers, we made a number of commitments last year, a number of policy and program changes that we said we were going to implement, and I want to give you that update. One was supply chain financing. Jim McNerney talked about it yesterday. We have a breakout session this morning, later today, on that. This is really a way we see that many small businesses that are not directly exporting, but are indirectly exporting. Our first 2 clients are Case New Holland and Caterpillar. So if you or one of your colleagues is selling to a Case New Holland or a Caterpillar, and we're hoping to sign up many more companies in the next few months, they can get advantage of the liquidity and access to capital as though they were a direct exporter. Currently, we're working with JP Morgan and Citigroup, and we've got about $500 million in this program so far. And I just want to give a particular round of applause to Ravi Arotham, Charles Tansey, and the entire team at in the Small Business Group for moving this project forward. Let's give them a round of applause. Last year, we also talked about Solar Express. We've reformulated. It's now called Renewable Express. We have 70 transactions we've done, about $44 million. We're forecasting or anticipate about $150 million more in the pipeline. The first projects are going to Italy, Belgium, Korea, and Canada. I think this is going to be a good pilot program in terms of other ways that we can cut transaction times, reduce the amount of red tape so we can get answers more quickly. I really want to thank Craig O'Connor and his entire team for the great work they've done on that. One of the other things we were able to adjust in the past year was content for small businesses. For small business transactions that are short-term, less than a year, we expanded the eligibility of what constituted U.S. content. Those of you who were born since 1968, that was the last time we addressed this issue. It was only a mere 43 years ago, so we thought it probably was not overdue for a revitalization and a review. We've got a lot of good feedback from our exporters. Luis Arguello, who is on our advisory committee, is one such company that's using it. And I really want to thank Tom Cummings, Diane Farrell and Jim Cruz and the policy team for helping moving all that for us. So thank you, Diane. Just this week, we launched a product called Express Insurance. This is a product for new customers that if you are selling overseas, we will be able to provide you with a turnaround time within 5 days, up to $300,000 per customer. I was with Walt Koskow this week, and he had a meeting with the insurance brokers, and I said, Walter, how's it going? And he said, well, if I can get back to my desk early enough today, I'm going to work to approve the first transaction we got. So we did approve the first transaction we got. We did it in 2 days, not 5 days. It's a company in Maine called FHC. It's a medical supplier in Bowdoin, Maine. And we have given them a quote within 2 days. We're hoping them to take up. So those of you who are looking for insurance, particularly up to $300,000 per customer, the pilot is up and running. And I want to really thank Walt and the entire insurance team for moving quickly on that. Streamlining. Government at the speed of business, as I said, is not just a slogan. It's how we're trying to put people together, put together deal teams, put together the relationship manager, the credit officer, the legal team, so we can work much more quickly in getting you an answer and finding a way to get to yes and get to yes more quickly. This is a major project at the bank, and it's part of an ongoing work we have. It's not sort of a one-stop thing. And this was really championed by Alice Albright, John McAdams, Jeff Abramson, and many, many more people at the bank. So let's give them a round of applause as well. Yesterday, speaking of thanks, when I talked about the transaction with Infinia, I mistakenly relied upon the CEO of Infinia to list all the team members. So the 2 people I did leave out, I contacted them separately, which was Carter Lawson and, oh my God, Jessica Farmer, excuse me. Took Carter and Jessica. So let's just give them a round of applause, which I missed yesterday. We also talked a little bit about Global Access, our program to reach and to travel around the country to educate more small business owners about how we can provide tools and products for them. We have our next, we've done about 7 so far. I think Diane and Bijan just did one in California this past week. We have one planned on April 11th in Long Island with Congresswoman McCarthy. We're going to be in Charlotte, North Carolina on June 3rd with Senator Kay Hagan. And we plan to do one with Chairman Miller. So we've got a number planned coming forward. If working with your local chambers, governors, or your members of Congress, and you'd like to have us do one in your district, please contact Charles Tanzi, charles.tanzi@ex-im.gov. You can contact him directly, charles.tanzi@ex-im.gov, and we will be looking to do more of those. In addition, we're also doing a lot of larger transactions. So last year, our largest transaction was with in Papua New Guinea for $3 billion. We are focused on small business, but I see that Orlando is here from Reficar, and this year I think we will probably see the largest increase in our business is probably going to be in the country of Colombia, working with Ecopetrol and Reficar, and I'm very happy that they are here. We got to visit them last year, so thank you for your faith in us. The rest of the day, let me just give you a quick highlight of where the day is going. We are waiting for I'm not just going slow, we're waiting, actually, our next speaker, Larry Summers, is also our just-in-time speaker. He's on his way in from the airport, but I didn't want to delay. Larry Summers will be talking to us about the global economy and where things are going. We had planned on time for questions. We may have to cut that a little short because we're running a little tight. We will then be followed by Judy Woodruff, who I see is already here, who will be leading a panel with Anil Ambani and journalists and academics, so we'll have a good conversation in terms of some global perspectives. We'll then be followed with some breakout sessions. We'll have 3 of those. And then our final speaker, our luncheon speaker, is going to be Vikram Pandit, the CEO of Citigroup. One of the things that Citigroup has been a leader on is on the Equator Principles, and I'm very pleased that the bank has adopted the Equator Principles. It's chaired by Citigroup, and it's a way that we can further align what we're doing with the best environmental practices. It goes further and continuing along in the work we've done on a carbon policy in terms of finding a way that we can make sure that as we create jobs and help countries power up, we're also doing it in a responsible way and looking at the portfolio and doing this in a way that, if we think about what's gone on in the world in the last month, not few months, months, we need to take this very, very seriously. So I am very happy that we as a bank adopted the Equator Principles and will incorporate them more fully and in a more integrated way into our work. So I am going to pause for a moment and let you talk amongst yourselves for about 2 minutes. And as soon as Dr. Summers comes, we'll repeat. But if you can just stay here, because that way we won't lose any more time on the program. So thank you. Be back to you in a moment.